I talk to parents often about the concept of engineer versus shepherd. Have you heard this?
No?
No, share.
Parents, the best type of parenting, in my opinion, and what all the reading I've done, the best type of parenting are shepherds. Your little sheep is born and they're the sheep. They're done. They're born. All you can do from that moment on is shepherd them through life. All you
Yeah.
can do is guide them. The people who think they are the engineers,
Can you do that from your helicopter?
the people who think they're engineering their child's lives for day to day, right? Have to get in there and monkey with every moment of their child's life because
Yeah.
they think they're creating a kid brick by brick. And that is just not, in my opinion, a super healthy way to raise a kid because it doesn't give them any autonomy. It doesn't give them any faith or trust. And as a result, they grow up to be really stressed out adults who are unable to take risks or who are unable to really stand up on their own. You know what I mean? And so this concept of shepherding versus engineering, I think, is a really powerful message. And I try
It's
to
a
give it
nice
to my
visual.
parents.
It
I
is
try
a
to give it to
nice
my
visual.
parents all the time. It's not mine. I'd like to take responsibility for it, but it's not. I've read it. And it's important because I think in this day and age, I think our generation especially, we looked at our parents who were the boomer generation, and we saw that they did a lot of things quite wrong in our opinion, right? They were very hands off.
Yeah.
They would let
They
us
were
leave
the
the house
sleeping
and
shepherd.
yeah, they would let us leave the house at 12 in the afternoon and not come back until 9 at night when the streetlights came on. And we'd like to put a lot of our problems on that, but the reality is it probably wasn't such a bad thing actually because
Yeah. It's a good point.
we learned to take care of ourselves, right? We learned
Yeah.
to be really
Yep.
self-sufficient. And so as a result, our generation as adults, we're very functioning. We're high functioning adults where we've got intense careers and we're taking care of our parents and taking care of our kids. So I think we can kind of overcompensate by trying to really micromanage our kids' lives. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's super necessary. I think we can trust our kids a little bit more.
Yeah, it's
Well,
so
and I think
true. These things happen and we have the best intention, but
Of
I
course.
can absolutely see how we've evolved as a generation of parents of just doing too much sometimes.
Everything for our kids.
Yeah.
I remember my dad, who grew up in South Georgia, not wearing shoes because they couldn't afford them.
Hmm.
He saw my husband telling the kids once not to rub their hand across a railing because they were going to get a splinter. And my dad was like, let him get the splinter. I used to walk in the fields with no shoes on, and I learned not to walk when, there
Yep.
was a
Yep.
bush that had pricklies.
Yep.
He says, I
Yeah.
learned that. And
Yep.
I was,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so now that actually instilled confidence
Yeah.
not in my husband, but in my children.
Yeah.
That they could look at the situation.
Yeah. The elementary schools in Japan are famous for, especially the kindergartens, for having big boulders in the courtyard and big trees to climb on. And the concept is that if they don't learn their limits early in life, and if they don't get hurt early in life, what we found, and there are studies, and I read really interesting papers when I was doing my dissertation on risk taking in young adults.
Yeah.
And the less risk they're exposed to as children, the more risk they're willing to take as young adults. And when you put a boy in a car at 16 who's never learned his limits, chances are good that he's going to get very, very hurt. So as a parent, you'd almost rather he falls and scrapes his knee than gets in a twisted fender bender when he's 18 years old at 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So there's that concept too, is like step back, let them make mistakes, let them get hurt. It's okay. They're not going to die.